You're listening to the audio-only version of Cocktails with Cav, the popular video cast streamed live only on X. Follow us here on Spotify or on X at Cav Literature. Oh, happy Thursday, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great week like I am. Oh, it's leap year, y'all, and we have an incredible show for you tonight. It's a show worthy of only coming around once every 4 years. Wait a minute, that sounded wrong. That came out way wrong. Forget that. It's a great show. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around. So please hit that like button. Please consider supporting the show at our tip and merch links in the description. And by all means, please repost the show so more people can get to know these incredible indie authors, entertainers, and artists we have as guests on the show. Well, the show tonight has a great author, and it's brought to you by our sponsors at Pravaco Publishing and Publicity out of London. And I tell you what, if you're an indie creator out there and you're thinking about getting some much needed support in your quest on the way to the bestsellers list, please consider Pravaco Publishing. Every author I've interviewed that has been associated with them just has nothing but glowing recommendations for them. So please give them a look. Pravaco Publishing. You can find them on X at WeArePravaco. If you're an indie creator thinking about getting a little support. Well, I hope everyone has poured a great cocktail. Sit back, relax this February 29th leap year, and help me welcome to the stage the incredible author, A.H. Martin. Oh, how you doing, Andy, my friend? I am so glad you could join us. Just an incredible author. We're going to talk about your work, but how you doing over there? Where are you coming to us from?
I'm coming to you from the southwest of France. It's a region called Aquitaine. It's between Bordeaux and Toulouse.
That sounds like wine stuff to me.
Oh, very much so. We're talking about the big wine producer, one of the big wine producing areas of France. It's also one of the major brandy producing regions of France. There's four types of brandy. There's the ones that you know, petit champagne brandies, but there's also something called Armagnac, and that's what they produce here. And most of us believe it's better than the really posh brandies, and it's a lot cheaper. I'll have to try to talk you into a bottle or something.
It is Cocktails with Cav anyway, you know.
Well, yeah, this is it. This is a 25-year-old.
Oh, that sounds delectable.
I've got a bottle over there that's 50 years old.
I'm now suddenly an even bigger fan than I was of your novel. But, oh, geez. Well, yeah, how is it living in France? I believe you're on a boat or something out there, eh?
Yeah, I live on a 19-meter, what's that, a 65-foot replica Dutch barge. It was built 16, 17 years ago, and I've owned it since 2016. And it's moored on the canal, the Garonne Canal. Now, some of your viewers will know of the Canal de Midi. The Garonne Canal is the northern part of the Canal de Midi.
Oh wow, that has to be gorgeous living.
It is. It stretches from Bordeaux to the Mediterranean coast.
Oh, wow. So do you get out a lot, or you living aboard? You get out and travel the canal a lot?
Over the summer, because that's when the canals are properly open. I cruise up and down the canal on a regular basis. I live on the boat on my own, so normally when I've got guests, the first thing we do is we just pull in the ropes, start the engine, and off we go.
No, that's just fantastic. Yeah, I have a little 33-foot sailboat myself down here, and I love just getting out and having a go at it on the water.
Well, being retired, it's a lovely pace of life. You cannot go far. The maximum speed limit on a canal is, what is it in miles? Is about 6 miles an hour.
Right.
That's all we're allowed to do. So, I mean, even the cyclists go past faster than us. On the cyclists on the towpath. But it is an amazing way to watch the countryside go past. Everything is slow. Everything is, you can sit on the back of the boat and just watch the world go past.
That sounds just incredible and inspirational too. I imagine it comes in on your writing, I take it, huh?
Well, yes and no. Some of the writing, it comes in because I spent multiple years traveling around the world for pleasure and for business. So a lot of the places and a lot of the things that I look at are influenced by the travel that I used to do. It's so neat. I've based a few short stories on the south of France, but nothing that I've actually published. These are things that I've done as exercises.
Oh, well, yeah, geez, getting all over. And it definitely gives you some change of scenery for the chapters and all of that. That's awesome. Well, how long have you been writing other? I know we'll talk about your novel in a few minutes, but I know you have other writings in other genres, I believe.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I started off like a lot of people, just short stories many, many years ago. But over the last 10 years or so, I've been posting stuff online, mainly short stories. It was a bit of an exercise of something to do when I was traveling. Filling in the time. There's only so many times you can sit on a plane and watch the same movie.
Right.
And as I was doing something like 30, 40 long-haul international flights a year,
wow!
I got to see all the films and the shows, and it was something to do. And it's you got stuck in hotels in the evening and so on, and you can sit in the bar and drink. Yes, I'll sit in the bar and drink, but it's also something to do when you're, it keeps your mind going.
Yeah, and I try to be, contrary to popular belief for the viewers, I try to be a little more productive than just sitting in this bar and chatting. But you got to have I turned it into cocktails with Cav,
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with the cocktails. I've had a few good cocktails in my time. Had a Singapore sling at Raffles in Singapore.
Oh, that's it. Well, I tell you, that is when you talk about all the traveling you did, and when we get into talking about your work in a few minutes, how much of where did you arrive at to come up with your novel Living Proof that we're going to talk about in a few minutes?
It started off as it was something I wrote about 8 years ago, oddly enough, but only wrote half of it. I wrote a backstory to it, and when I showed it to Jane, she agreed. She had the same thought that I did, that it was an incomplete novel.
Right.
So we added a lot to it. It was basically a romance. It was started off in life as a romance based in the Caribbean.
Ah, okay.
And then it stretched out, and we added more and more and more, and it took on much more of a darker feeling to it, which I like. It's the same thing that I'm currently utilizing in the second novel.
Oh, awesome.
This dark, a dark romance, but with a political thriller background behind it, sitting behind it.
Yeah, and the story is incredibly intriguing. And when you say Jane, you're talking about Provoco Publishing. I believe you go through.
Yeah, that's right. I use Provoco, which is a very, very, very good system. It's they're an independent. They listen to you. You don't feel as though you're being shuffled off into, with a big company and just being dumped on somebody. Jane looks after all the time.
Yeah, I had other guests. And I tell you, Pravako really, as far as indie creators go, is just, here very helpful. That's for sure. And getting the work out and assisting, us poor independent creators without all the big stuff.
But from my perspective, they do the whole package. They do a really nice package of everything from cover design to editing to the process through publishing, which makes it so much easier for me. Stuck on a boat. I say stuck on a boat, but I'm sometimes at the wrong end of an internet chain.
Right.
See, it's only been the last couple of years that I've actually had decent internet connection on a boat. As you can imagine, I can't connect a cable to the boat very easily, not when I'm moving.
Right. So, I imagine not.
So without sort of coming off as an advert, I have to say that the Starlink system has been a revelation for me.
And of course, this is Cocktails with Cav, or the X show. So knock yourself out talking about Starlink, I assume, for Elon, right?
yeah. But it has been for me on a boat without having to worry about fiber connections or whatever. It's made a massive difference.
Right.
I no longer feel as isolated as you can do on a boat.
Oh, I can imagine. You're right. I know just from my experiences on my coastal sailing, the internet link is invaluable, especially if you're trying to write or do some research or just basically communicate for the weather,
Well, everything from, it's a lot of editing is done almost real time. So you're bouncing stuff backwards and forwards through things like Google Notes, so on. So and you want to be on top of it all the time because you're making changes almost on a daily basis.
Right. Well, it is. It's. I tell you, it's definitely the world of technology's grown exponentially. That's for sure, and kind of assisted us in some of the stuff we had to do as indie creators, and I don't know. In some ways, just kind of made us a good network outside of the normal channels, so more people could see our work.
I think that's totally true. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the days before internet, the days before mobile phones.
Right.
So, if you want to talk to somebody, you were tied to a cable.
That's it. And I don't know, nowadays I'd kill for a beeper again. I keep telling, I'd love to have a pager.
No. Pagers I do not like because pagers means I'm back at work in a hospital.
Oh, well, yeah, that would, you're traumatized. 24 hour, 72 hour on call on a pager is no fun. Oh yeah, that can be traumatizing. That's for sure.
Yeah,
well, man, Andy, I tell you what, let's refill our cocktails a little bit because that brandy looks so incredible. But
it's lovely.
And when we come back, man, let's get into talking about Living Proof, your incredible thriller novel, and we'll get into it in a sec, man.
Okay.
If you love science fiction like I do, you're going to want to check out the incredible science fiction novel, Now Comes Grimm. Discover a universe where Earth's history clashes with intergalactic conflict, and I tell you what, just like all great science fiction literature, Now Comes Grimm doesn't just promise a story. It reflects on the costs of our pursuit of knowledge and progress. So a must read, everybody. Check out Now Comes Grimm, available on Amazon. And hey, if you're an indie author thinking about getting a little help with all the work we have to do, who better to help than fellow indie creators that have been in the trenches with you and know your pain? Check out Grimm Books LLC and all the services they offer, everything from beta reading to book covers to heck, even honest and affordable reviews to help your book in the marketing department. So check out Grimm Books LLC on X at Grimm Books LLC. I tell you, I really, really like that promo video.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with it. As I say, I've got a good friend who has most of the editing equipment. She edits the odd video for friends, and she knocked it together for me. And I was quite pleased.
Oh yeah. It kind of sets the tone for your novel, and yeah, let's talk about it a little bit. Living Proof, available on Amazon and across the spectrum, but it's just really one of those thrillers, and I love the genre myself. But and it starts off with the shipwreck in the Caribbean and the global plot. Why don't you tell us about it a little bit?
Well, it's two stories that intertwine into each other. So you have a backstory, which is a wife that loses her memory because of an accident, because of an injury caused by a shipwreck, who is picked up by human traffickers. She manages to get away, but she loses her memory, and that's that side of it. That's the beginning of that. And then 3 years later, the husband comes across her in a resort. Okay, so yeah, the story from the perspective of the wife and the husband is she's got remarried, and the interplay between her original husband Peter and her new husband Jim, and how that is going to work out. But sitting behind it is the fact that when she was abducted as part of when she was rescued at the shipwreck, she came into conflict with a criminal group and politicians that had other. So the story is going on in. That's where they split the story, and it starts to come together when they realize that the politicians and the criminals realize that the woman is beginning to regain her memory and might be able to identify them.
Oh, yeah.
So then they start panicking, and then they try. They hire an assassin to try and kill her, and that's how the story develops in that way. So I'm not going to give you the whole story.
Well, yeah, please, no spoiler alerts. Somebody's got to buy the book. That's absolutely true.
So basically, in a nutshell, that's where the story lies. It's a political thriller intertwined with a dark romance.
Yeah, it does. It's extremely fascinating story, that's for sure. And what inspired you, for the story? I mean, it obviously intertwines a lot of some of your life travels and I think it's the boating aspect, but
well, the boating aspect helps because I've done a bit of sailing my time, so I understand that side of it. I've spent multiple trips to the Caribbean, the States, and other parts of the world where you talk people, you go to places like Thailand, Philippines, and so on, and they talk about human trafficking on a regular basis. So it's conversations that you have with people that and from that basis you pick up the information. Yes, I had to do quite a bit of research, to make it more accurate, follow the trends. But it is actually, unfortunately, human trafficking is one of the. It exists, and it exists in a big way. In a lot of
absolutely.
So it's a way of highlighting it. It's a way of highlighting the fact that it's not only criminal. There's not only a criminal influence, but there's political influences into it as well, and that's basically that side of the story. The romance side of the story funnily enough, came from the background was an inspiration that of somebody I know who's a member of their family lost their memory and did not know when they woke up, wasn't aware that they were married. They lost several years of their life and didn't know where they. I mean, the memory came back very quickly, within a few weeks. But I thought, well, what happens if it doesn't come back?
Right.
How far can you stretch it? What would happen to somebody who doesn't know who they are, is in the wrong part, is nowhere near where they normally are, so there's nobody's going to identify them? What will happen to that person? Well, how will they try and survive? How would their life progress? And then what happens when old and new collide?
Yeah. The old author, what would happen if? And it makes for a great tale, that's for sure. And do you I know there's a lot of talk about how you chose to end The Living Proof.
Yeah.
And maybe you can tell us a little about that, because I believe you are working on the second installment.
It's almost, you can almost blame it on US news programs at the moment.
We can blame a lot on US news programs at the moment.
Well, no, but there's so much going on about political intrigue. It's been going on for the last 8 years or so, but even more, and you hear it a lot. So when I was looking for the baddie, I hate to say that word, but the baddie, I picked on a US politician. I could have picked on anybody in the world, but the reality was, because I based the first part in the Caribbean, a US politician close by sort of fitted in. Right.
And was he on an island? No.
Well, no, but he was on a boat to start with. But no, I mean, it's not me pointing the finger at US politicians. I think most politicians in the world are corrupt. So.
Right. I think you probably won't get much of an argument from a lot of people about that,
Yeah, no, I mean, I could have picked anywhere, but as I say, I based the first part of the story, the actual romance side of it, in the Caribbean, used American, which was a resort that was popular with American tourists. Therefore, America was in my mind when I was looking for the counterpoint.
Gotcha. And are you working on your current project now?
Yeah, the sequel is based. I'm basing the sequel 10 years later, and again, it's going to be fairly similar, but who's the baddie this time is not who you would think it was.
A twist.
Twist. A goodie in the first book is now going to become the baddie type thing. But it's going to follow, I'm going to say, a tried and tested regime, but basically there's going to be a conflicting romance with a big political thriller going on in and around it and intertwining again. But based 10 years later, new characters, old characters coming back. And it will, and I'm without saying how it's going to finish, it's going to end up in a bit not explosive in actual explosive, but it's going to be a bit of a dynamite finish to it. Just, but whether that, how that is actually going to work out now is dependent upon a couple of factors that I'm working on at the moment. When I start a book, I plot it out, but I'm one of these people that will quite happily change a plot direction if I feel that it's not going the right way. I don't just keep trying to dig myself into a hole. I'm quite happy to fill it in and move to the next hole.
That's it. Well, do you anticipate when you might be finished that second installment? Because I know you probably have a lot of people.
Jane's got a provisional publishing date of the end of this year.
Okay.
So that's the sequence at the moment. I'm about halfway through it at a draft level and about a quarter of the way through it at a slightly more polished level. If I can work at my normal pace, once I finish the maintenance on the boat, which is rather urgent at the moment, I don't want to.
As a boat owner, I can empathize. It's always urgent on a boat, right?
Yeah. It's the winter maintenance is a nightmare, and it always knocks my writing schedule sideways.
Oh yeah.
I hope to be finished and off to the editors within 2 to 2.5 months at most.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, you got to promise Andy to come back on the show, man, when the second installment's ready. I'd love to talk about it.
What you need to do is a summer one where I can sit on the back of the boat and show you the boat.
That's what I need to do. I need to do a cocktails with Cav on the road.
You can do a cocktails on the road, yes, and barbecue on the back of the boat.
Oh, wow. I'm going to hold you to it. I'm in. Well, Andy, I can't thank you enough for coming and taking the time from your busy schedule and coming on the show and talking about your novel. Ladies and gentlemen, please go check out Andy's work. It's available on Amazon, Living Proof. And of course, we're waiting on that second installment, but just a great romantic thriller and worth the read. And I tell you what, Andy, I can't, like I said, can't thank you enough for taking the time to come talk to us and let us get to know you and that beautiful boat and area you're living in, man.
It's a pleasure, mate.
Well, cheers with that brandy, my friend.
Cheers.